Units of COP 4020. My name is Brian Mosier, and I'm here to present on VBScript. Now, before I present on VBScript, let me share a few things about myself. I am a computer science student going to FSU. However, I do have a bachelor's degree already in meteorology. Now, I'm hoping that with a meteorology degree and a computer science degree, that I can land a nice job. However, the job I really want to have is to work at the National Weather Service. With the government shutdown occurring, it might not work out to be. But with the computer science degree, I know that I have other options available, which is nice to know. This lecture or this video I'm doing is organized by, well, I'm going to do a PowerPoint, which what you're seeing right now, and then after this PowerPoint, which basically covers all the basics and introductory topics on VBScript, I'm going to go ahead and write some code in VBScript, and after that would be pretty much the gist of this presentation. All right, and without further ado, let's continue with let's start our presentation. Alright, so what is VBScript exactly? Now, VBScript is a scripting language developed by Microsoft, and it was developed in 1996, and it was used initially just to develop, web pages, and that was pretty much it. But as newer versions were released, it actually kind of did a reversal. Like, nobody started using it for web pages anymore. Instead, it started being used for all system-related tasks. So you needed to schedule an event to occur at midnight, that do a system backup. That's what it was good for. And the reason why that's the case is because JavaScript just pretty much took over the whole, scripting everything on the internet. So, and this is in part because VBScript was only good for Internet Explorer, and obviously when you have a script that's only good for one browser, it's not going to be successful. So that's that. As of right now, the latest version is 5.8. The first version was 1.0, and Microsoft, said that they don't ever plan on creating another version of it, but who really knows until if they change their mind or not. And as of right now, it's being maintained by the Microsoft Sustaining Engineering team. So VBScript obviously has a few uses, or else it wouldn't be still used. Some of these uses is what I already mentioned is what I should say, scheduling tasks to occur in your system. Say you wanted, like a backup again. You wanted it to occur overnight. That way, it's not affecting all the other fellow office personnel. Then you can do it at midnight without even having to be at your computer. And of course, one of the uses is Internet Explorer scripts, which is never really used anyways. VBScript is also used in a popular automation test tool, which is known as Quick Test Professional. In general, just like many other scripting languages, it just lessens the amount of time you would have to spend manually typing command after command after command just to do a simple task. So it definitely saves a lot of time. It can save you hours and days worth of time just by writing a short script that can do it all for you. So VBScript comes obviously with a lot of features. It's a very easy to use syntax. As you will see when I'm writing the code, that the syntax is really easy. Barely any quote unquote punctuation that you have to worry about. No semicolons. It's it's almost just, it's weird, if anything, to program with VBScript, just how little syntax I actually need. It comes with a fast interpreter, and, well, you can, the main editor, the official editor you would put it in as Notepad and then just give it a .vbs extension. But nobody likes programming on a Notepad editor because it's not color coded. It's just not good. So what I personally use, and you'll all see in a second, is I use Notepad++, which color codes comments and statements along with numerical values. So it's pretty nice. Much nicer than having just a plain black and white screen. Another thing about VBScript though is it's object based. There's actually a huge library. After looking up doing some research, I found there has a huge library of objects at your disposal. And this is what makes the language very powerful. Well, I wouldn't say powerful, but it definitely gives it a lot of uses for the programmer. And in addition to that, you can actually start creating your own objects from classes that you write in the scripting language. Now this began with version 5.0 and still can do it now. And that is pretty much to introduce the topic of VBScript. Now let me go ahead and start writing some code so we can get to it. So here's Notepad++. Just went ahead and saved this file with the intro.vbs. Let me just go ahead and just show you how this all works. Just do a save as. Basically, this is how you should save it is when you have the file name right here, just before you do anything, just go on Visual Basic File, and then when you name your file, just make sure file and then you just gotta have a .vbs, and that'll save it as a Visual Basic, or not Visual Basic, but VBScript file. Now, if you save it accidentally as just a VB, it is actual Visual Basic, so if you want VBScript, you definitely don't want to do VB. Now, I forgot to mention though, VBScript actually does take a lot of features from Visual Basic, which unfortunately I never. Last time I programmed VBScript was 8 years ago, so I don't remember anything about it. So I couldn't tell you how similar it is to it or not. So here on our document here, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to write a comment. And basically a comment, all you do is start it with an apostrophe, and that's it. That's a comment. And let's continue on with our header of our VBScript file. The next two options or statements I'm gonna type out is they're actually optional. It's not like C++ where you kind of need certain libraries to do the most basic things. Here these statements are completely optional where it's definitely not going to affect the running. Well, it actually may affect the running of your program, but I'll just go ahead and type it all out. The first option or statement that most people would have typed out on their Visual or VBScript file is option explicit, which I just spelled that wrong. And basically, what option explicit does is it creates a rule where all variables that you declare later on in your script have to be defined. Like, you can't just have variable equals number and expect the script to know what it means later on. It has to be defined. And actually, if you didn't have this option available, you can actually have you can literally put variable equals 3, and then you can actually use variable in some other statement, and it'll be completely fine if you had option explicit out of the script in general. So that's that for that statement. So for our next statement that you may normally have at the beginning of your VBScript file is on air resume next. So with this is basically saying that if the script comes out, if a minor error comes about while the script is running, it'll actually just go ahead and skip it and then run to the next available line of code that works. So if you left this out, all errors would force the script to stop, which is actually a good thing if you're writing your script for the first time. You actually would be better off leaving this out until you're actually done. This is just so, like, when you actually have the finished script product, or program I should say, you don't have to worry about it randomly stopping for just a small time error when you're not there to even do something about it. So that's why this statement exists. And that's that. So how do you declare a variable in VBScript? It's actually really simple. It's actually one just keyword. Don't need to mention integers or floating points or nothing like that. No strings. Just all you have to do is type out the key or reserved word called dim, which stands for dimension, and I'll just say variable, and that's all you need. No semicolons, you're done. That's your variable's defined. And then if you want to, you can set your variable equal to whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and set it equal to a string. To do that, you need quotations around your string to make it a string. If you were doing a number, you just typed out the number, and that's all you need. Alright. So say you wanted to have like a hello world program. Actually, let me go ahead before I go through with that. Let me go ahead and do the hello world. It's very, very easy. All you have to do is message box and type out in quotations hello world, and that's your hello world. We're gonna go ahead and what was I gonna say? Go ahead and run this script, and it did not come up. Yeah, okay, so I found my little problem here. It's on error resume next. That would be my problem. Alright, so now let's try to run this program. Let's save it first. Try to run this program and see if it runs. And here we get our hello world in a message box, and that's that. Alright, so with this variable we declared, we can actually go ahead and run that and put that in a message box. So let me go ahead and try that. We can just do this. Say hello to our declared variable. And if you have multiple outputs and you want them all in a single line in your script file, all you need to do is put in an ampersand symbol and then put your next item that you want outputted. In this case, it is just our variable. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and run that and see how that works. We got hello world, and then we got hello declared variable. Exactly what we expected. So, actually, and with the message box statement, we can actually add additional parameters. The next parameter is actually you can enter in a number or some other symbol. Let me go ahead and show you what exactly this means. This is a list of what you can enter in. Like if you enter in a value, you're going to get a button that says either OK or cancel. You notice that we've been getting just OK. I think it's just because it defaults to 0. So, but if I put in, we'll just go ahead and show what happens. Just put in 1 and see what happens. Let's go ahead. Let's get past this first dialog. And see, notice last time we didn't even have the cancel, so Now you just hit cancel. Of course, we don't have any scripts that tell us what to do with the particular button that you click on. But and the last parameter you would put in is the title of the message box, and just put well, let's see, what should I put down? Let's see. I'll say I am the message box title. Alright, save that. I'll go ahead and run it. We get our hello world for the first time. And then we got hello declared variable. Okay, cancel. I am a message box title. So that's basically what that last parameter does. So, alright. Alright, so we did declaring variables. Last thing for declaring anything is declaring constants, and all you really need for declaring constants is the constant reserved word identifier, which is, I have it typed out right there. I'm going to just say something like 5 equals 3.14. So here is just, you can't ever change that number. And that's it for declaring constants. Now say you want to create a loop. Now I'm going to go ahead and just do a simple for loop. And basically how you start a for loop is, well, go ahead and declare a counter variable in advance. And after you declare your counter variable, then you go ahead with your loop implementation. Now to start a for loop, you obviously start with the for keyword. And then you go ahead and type out this is going to be the lower bound of our for loop. And then you enter in the keyword 2. And after entering the keyword 2, the next number you enter, it will be the upper bound of your loop bound. So, and then the next thing you put down is step, which basically all that is how much you're incrementing your loop counter by. And I'm going to just go ahead and say 1. If I put step 3, it would increment by 3. And so it would only run 2 times and it'll be done. But with 1, if I do step 1, I would expect it to loop 6 times. So we'll go ahead and try a message box statement within our loop. I'm going to go ahead, I wasn't planning on doing this, I'm going to go ahead and message box the actual variable or loop counter just so we can see what's going on. And go ahead and hit a random parameter just to see what that one does. And let's say loop counter. Alright. So to end our loop, all you really need to do is type out the keyword next. And this is our loop. We're done. If you notice, there's really no brackets in this scripting language. I haven't seen a single example so far that involved brackets. Parentheses, yes, but not brackets. We'll go ahead and save this. See if it works. All right, so it looks like it's working. All right, loop counter 1. No, I see what this is. What the option 2 is, obviously abort, retry, and ignore. And we should see this go all the way up to 5. That iterated 6 times though, because it included a 0. So that's our loop. And the next item on our list to talk about is using a built-in function that's part of VBScript. Now, there's tons of functions for VBScript, and if you actually go on Microsoft.com, you can actually see a bunch of scripts. Or actually, one of my sources. Nah, I'm not going to go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and show that later at the end of this presentation. But yeah, there's a whole list of functions that are already pre-made for VBScript, so that will definitely come in handy. So say I wanted to use one of these functions. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and use the message box function. Now this message box statement here is just a statement. It's actually not a function. What actually makes it a function is when you have parentheses surrounding your parameters. So let me go ahead and show you what I'm saying. I'm going to go ahead and start out, do a random variable called cheeseburger, which I'm going to set equal to message box function. You can actually set variables set equal to a function in VBScript, which I think is kind of interesting and pretty cool. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and cover conditional statements as well. Alright. Go ahead and also you don't have to write down numbers. Yes, no. Actually, for VB yes, no, I can easily just put a 3 and it'd be the same exact meaning. So to help you understand the program better, it might be better to just not put a number down, just to put yes or no, VB yes, no, instead of 3. Because that makes a lot more sense than writing the number 3. Yeah, I don't know, I'll just put it around random title, I guess, just for completeness. Okay, so we'll just go ahead, put that, surround that with parentheses. So let's go ahead with our conditional statement. I'm going to do a basic if-else statement. So all you need for that is if, and since I have the function contained in a variable, I can go ahead and do if cheeseburger equals VB yes, which is, if you select the yes button, it's going to go ahead and take yes as an input. And of course you say, well, you don't, I would say of course, but you just put then after you do the if condition. If, just go ahead and put message box. Yeah, you are a carnivore. And else, just to show how this all works. You may be heard before. Alright, so let's try this out. So, just an if. Basically, it's pretty simple syntax. There's actually 5, or no, I can't remember right now. I think it's 5 other conditional statements. And I also forgot to mention for the loops, there's 4 other type of loops that you can do. So obviously don't have time to go through each and every single one. So let me go ahead and make sure I did this all right. Save it. Nope. And what do you know? I got an error. Okay, so I got line 27. Go ahead and pause this. Yeah. Okay. So now I know what I did wrong. Okay, so said on line 27 that I forgot my quotations. Oh, and I might as well just add a period for punctuation. Do it here too. Okay, so I'll save that. See if our program will run. Yep. Our hello world. Yeah. Yeah, go through our loop again. Alright. So if I say no, man, I'll get this option. So, which I don't even know it. Right here. Alright. So, that's the end of that. We'll just try the other one just for completeness. And sure, why not? There you go. So that's how you can combine a conditional statement with a message box input. So yeah, that